fight announcement between Jake Paul and Gervonta Tank Davis sent shockwaves through both boxing and entertainment circles. It's the kind of matchup nobody expected, but everybody wants to talk about. On one side, you have Jake Paul, the YouTuber turned boxer, a man who's turned controversy and self-promotion into a business model. On the other, Gervonta Davis, the explosive, pound-for-pound knockout artist who's spent years building his name through skill, grit, and power. But when the weight difference between the two fighters is close to 70 pounds, fans and analysts can't help but ask one question. What are we really watching here? A fight or a spectacle? Jake Paul's journey into boxing has been anything but ordinary. He's gone from filming prank videos to fighting some of the biggest names in combat sports. But the criticism has followed him every step of the way. People say he picks his opponents carefully, choosing older fighters, retired UFC stars, or celebrities with limited boxing backgrounds. And while that strategy has made him millions, it's also made fans question his legitimacy. Jake claims he's serious about boxing, that he's working harder than ever, sparring with professionals, and building real skills. Still, as Stephen A. Smith points out, boxing is a sport built on credibility, not clicks. If Jake wants the respect of real fighters, he needs to face opponents who live and breathe boxing every single day. Gervonta Tank Davis represents the other side of that spectrum. Pound for pound, he's one of the most explosive fighters alive. His speed, power, and precision have earned him a reputation as one of the best finishers in the sport. He's knocked out opponents who thought they could handle his aggression, only to find themselves on the canvas seconds later. Analysts describe him as a natural fighter. His instincts are almost supernatural, his reflexes razor sharp. But when you compare his size to Jake Paul's, the challenge looks almost surreal. Tank fights at around 135 pounds. Jake fights closer to 200. The difference is massive. And while some say technique beats size, others argue that physics can't be ignored. Even with Tank's speed, one clean shot from Jake could end the night. Stephen A. Smith didn't hold back when he analyzed the matchup. In his view, Tank Davis is a generational talent, an athlete who combines power and precision like few others. But Smith didn't shy away from criticizing Jake Paul either. He pointed out that Jake's career so far has been about safe risk. He fought basketball players, older strikers, and a 50-something-year-old Mike Tyson. Yes, those fights brought attention, but they weren't exactly the toughest challenges. Smith's argument is simple. If Jake Paul wants to be taken seriously, he can't just chase easy paydays. He needs to fight someone his own age, his own size, and in his own sport. That's what separates real fighters from entertainers. Still, Smith admits something most critics won't. He respects Jake Paul's hustle. He acknowledges that Jake has done what few could. He's built a brand powerful enough to control his own fights. Unlike many fighters stuck under promoter contracts, Jake calls the shots. He negotiates his own deals, promotes his own events, and earns real money without begging anyone for opportunities. In Smith's eyes, that's a kind of power traditional boxers rarely have. But that power also comes with responsibility. If Jake is serious about boxing, he has to use that control to elevate the sport, not turn it into a circus. And that's where the Tank Davis fight becomes complicated. For Jake, it's another massive payday and a guaranteed spotlight. For Tank, it's a financial opportunity unlike anything he's seen before. Reports suggest the fight could earn him close to $100 million, far more than a rematch with Lamont Roach Jr. would have made. But that's exactly what has purists angry. Davis had a contractual rematch lined up, one many believed he owed to Roach after their controversial draw. Instead of honoring the deal, he chose to face Jake Paul. Critics call it a money grab. They argue it's another sign that modern boxing is losing its soul, trading legacy for spectacle. The fight itself is set up more as an exhibition than a traditional bout. They'll meet in the middle, with special glove sizes, agreed weight caps, and no official title on the line. That's partly why so many boxing purists dismiss it. They see it as a sideshow, more of a Netflix event than a real fight. But that doesn't mean people aren't interested. In fact, the hype around the fight might surpass most legitimate title bouts this year, because Jake Paul doesn't just bring boxing fans, he brings casual viewers, influencers, and millions of followers who normally wouldn't care about a jab or a counterpunch. This isn't just a boxing match, it's a global event. Analysts have compared the promotion to a modern David versus Goliath story. Tank Davis, the smaller yet deadlier technician, facing Jake Paul, the bigger, younger showman with the reach and size to cause real damage. It's an easy storyline to sell, and Netflix knows it. They've built the entire marketing campaign around that contrast. Posters, teasers, and interviews are all leaning into that classic underdog tension. But unlike the Bible story, this one might not end with the smaller man winning. The physics are just too real. Even if Jake's skills don't match Tank's, a single punch could flip everything. And that unpredictability is exactly what makes people pay to watch. Stephen A. Smith and others like Teddy Atlas have warned that this fight might be crossing a line. Atlas, who's been part of boxing for 50 years, says Jake deserves credit for how far he's come. He's trained hard, taken the sport seriously, and genuinely improved. But he also believes there's a limit. Facing someone like Tank Davis, even in an exhibition, could be a step too far. Atlas calls Jake a work in progress, a man who's learned the sport quickly but hasn't truly been tested by elite competition. In his words, Jake has earned attention, not validation. That's an important difference. Because while fans might love the entertainment, real fighters see a sport being blurred into show business. Other critics have also pointed fingers at Tank. They argue that by accepting this fight, he's turning his back on the integrity of boxing. Tank had the chance to chase real challenges, undefeated contenders, legacy fights, championship belts. Instead, he's cashing in on a spectacle. Gary Logan and David Adelaide have said that boxing's biggest issue today is exactly this: fighters choosing money over meaning. They're not wrong. The sport has seen countless examples where fame outweighed legacy, and while the payday might be massive, the respect that follows could be much smaller. Still, not everyone is angry about it. Some analysts see it differently. They argue that boxing has always been about business. If two people can step into a ring and make millions doing it, who's really losing? One commentator put it bluntly: boxing doesn't love its fighters. When they're done, the sport moves on. So if Tank and Jake can walk away rich, maybe they're the smart ones. It's a hard truth that's becoming more common in today's boxing world. Legacy is great, but money pays the bills. As the fight date approaches, the hype machine keeps building. Netflix is framing it as one of the biggest sports events of the year. Social media is flooded with training clips, trash talk, and predictions. Fans are split. Some say Jake will shock the world again. Others believe Tank's precision will humiliate him. Even with the weight gap, Tank's speed and experience can't be underestimated. One mistake from Jake, and Tank could close the distance and deliver that signature knockout. The intrigue lies in that balance: size versus skill, power versus precision, fame versus legacy. Jake Paul has made it clear he's not backing down from criticism. In interviews, he often reminds everyone how far he's come. He points out that when fighters like Tank or Canelo Alvarez were winning championships, he was still on the Disney Channel. He wasn't raised in the fight game. He built his path from scratch. He argues that his opponents, while not all traditional boxers, still helped him grow. He mentions how he tried to fight Tommy Fury, a legitimate boxer, but the match fell through due to injury. Jake's narrative is that he's not avoiding challenges. He's just learning in real time under the spotlight. And that spotlight is exactly why people can't look away. Love him or hate him, Jake Paul knows how to make you watch. He's turned himself into a brand that transcends boxing. Every move he makes generates buzz. Every fight becomes a talking point. Whether he's in the ring or online, he knows how to control the story. That's something even seasoned boxers envy. He's not just fighting opponents, he's fighting perceptions. As for Tank, the fight is both an opportunity and a risk. He gets to show the world that skill and technique can conquer size and hype. But if anything goes wrong, if he gets caught, if he underestimates Jake, it could stain his legacy. No matter how many belts he's won, being knocked out by a YouTuber would follow him forever. That's what makes this fight so fascinating. It's not just about who wins or loses. It's about what each man stands to gain or lose in the eyes of the world. The reactions across the boxing community reflect that tension. Purists say the sport is dying, replaced by spectacle and celebrity. Others say boxing needs this kind of energy to survive. Maybe both are right. The truth is, fights like this draw millions of eyes that wouldn't normally watch boxing. They bring in new fans, new sponsors, and a new kind of excitement. Whether that's good or bad depends on what happens next. As the fight approaches, the anticipation builds like a storm. Two completely different worlds are about to collide under the same lights. On one side, the disciplined knockout machine. On the other, the unpredictable entertainer with something to prove. And when the bell rings, nobody really knows what's going to happen. Maybe Tank's speed will make Jake look foolish. Maybe Jake's size will turn the fight into a brutal surprise. Or maybe, just maybe, The night will remind everyone why boxing, real or not, is still the most dramatic sport on earth. In the end, this matchup is more than just a fight. It's a reflection of what boxing has become. A blend of tradition and showmanship, skill and spectacle, respect and revenue. It asks the question that fans have been debating for years. Can fame and fortune exist without destroying the purity of the sport? When Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis step into the ring, they won't just be fighting each other. They'll be fighting for what the future of boxing really looks like. And when that final bell rings, the world will decide which side wins.